So I'm always considering kind of different traditions and teachings and how they fit together while staying in the vortex. But one that I'm always interested in is I find value in that sort of stepping out of the ego. But I also agree with your perspective of having a specific vantage point of view is incredibly valuable and is the whole point of this. So I heard you say something from like years ago in a very emphatic way where you said comparison is your death trap or something to that effect, or your trap, something like that. And I thought that's what I think of when I think of the ego, is this perspective of I'm better than this person, I'm less than them, they shouldn't be this way, I should be this way. That sort of trap of a bubble of a self, to me, that's the ego you want to let go of, not the sense of I'm in this unique body with some different perspectives and opinions and ideas. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, it's interesting as you offered the word ego and then spoke at it from your different vantage points, and then around the room, what people think and feel about it began to percolate a little bit too. And let's take an opportunity to really get it into a clear perspective. This is a wonderful new beginning of understanding about some things relative to mind, focus, projection, attraction. And we want to start by reminding you again that it's not about being over here and wanting to be over there. It's about being, feeling the way I want to feel if I were over there while I'm over here, even before I'm over there. It's about accomplishing a vibrational stance, which then by law of attraction brings things that match it that I might think are over there, over here where I am. So my now point of attraction, as far as I am concerned from my human standpoint, it is good for me to think in terms of how I feel, even more than about what I want. How I feel. How do I feel? I want to feel good. I want to feel clear. I want to feel good. Now, there is nothing more egotistical than that. There is nothing more me than how I feel. In fact, everything that I've ever wanted is because I care about how I feel. And every action or attempt at controlling anything is because I care about how I feel. So if you start by accepting that it is a good thing for you to feel good, now you're in sync with the source within you who feels good in you. Who feels good in you. So we want you to feel with us. We'll find some new words, some new ways of saying it that you haven't heard us say before, so that you can find this new place. If it is true, and it is, that source, whatever you want to call source, is focused in you, through you, here and now, let's for a moment call source ego. Just for a moment. Ooh, well, does that fit? Always expanding, caring about expansion, expecting to be eternal, to be all-knowing. What an egotistical thing that is. Source, all-knowing, all existence, eternal, eternally expanding. That's how source feels, you see. So the only time that people start tripping up on the word ego is when they brush up against that confirming, empowering certainty of your value. In other words, you feel your value for just a moment. You get a glimpse of it. You know for sure who you really are. And then you deviate from it. That's when you start worrying about being egotistical. It's so interesting. It's your deviation from that all-powerful perspective that even gives you that inkling that there might be something wrong with your perspective. Isn't that interesting? It's the opposite of what almost everybody thinks they mean when they talk about what they think ego is. When we use the word ego, after someone like you gives it to us, we mean point of focus. And point of focus means everything, because point of focus is your point of attraction. And that means everything. And if you want to feel good in this world, and if you want to fulfill your reason for being here, and all of you do, then you must be mindful of where you stand. You must be aware of what your vibrational stance is. And yes, that is egotistical. And yes, that is the best of stances, you see. And anybody who isn't, or anyone who's speaking against that, is either misunderstanding in a very grand way, or they are massively disconnected from their well-being, and they are fighting to get back to it by bashing everything. You see, ego, perspective, being, from our point of view, all same thing.
And for some, it sounds like they're when they say ego, they mean that kind of resistant pattern of me versus the world. And would you agree on that is what you want to let go of?
Well, yes, we do. And the reason that people are accusing someone like you, maybe, of being egotistical is because you're following your guidance rather than doing what they want you to do. So therefore, you are egotistical, seeking your power and seeking your alignment and seeking your joy. How dare you be so egotistical as to not do what I need you to do so that I can feel better?
Yeah.
Ego is such a delicious topic because it is so misunderstood. Mm-hmm. Just pay attention for the next while. Anytime someone accuses you or anyone that you get to witness, anytime you hear someone saying, well, you shouldn't be so egotistical, it's usually because they don't appreciate your certainty about something in their uncertainty. Because your certainty makes them feel less than certain. And since they always want to be right, and they're different than you, then your egotisticality, oh, Esther just loves the way spell checker responds to us, is the problem that they've found right now.
Okay.
That's like Esther saying to us, so here we are so egotistical that we refuse to do other than love. And that would be like Esther saying, come on, Abraham, come over here and be mad with me about this. And then when we don't come, saying, well, you are really an egotistical ghost.
Yeah.
And we say, call it whatever you want. We're not going over there with you.
Yeah.
And so it's like that. Is that helpful?
Yeah. It's a holding of the stance, it sounds like what you're saying. Holding of that need to be in alignment, of that alignment is how you use the word.
Well, in the simplest of terms, what we mean by egotistical, ego, is awareness of self and a caring of how self feels. Mm-hmm. We think in the purest sense of the word, that would be the best definition. My perspective matters, and I choose that my perspective, which matters, is one that feels good all the time.
And if you pay attention to that, probably the words can be confusing. People have different definitions of what it all means, but
we wouldn't debate ego with anyone ever.
Stay with the
because some people mean black when you mean white, and some people mean white when you mean red. Everybody has different perspectives, and we wouldn't spend too much time trying to get on the same page with anyone. We spend all of our time wanting to be on the same page as the source within us, because then in your absence of resistance, in your complete alignment, in your offering of one powerful, very strong signal, you have huge influence, you see. Huge ability to uplift when you are not scrapping over unimportant terminology. Mm-hmm. If someone says to you, I think you're egotistical, you could just say, oh, I don't want to be egotistical. I just want to be somebody who loves. That'll diffuse them. Oh, well, your ego is way out of hand. Oh, I don't mean to be offensive to anyone. My powerful objective is to be an uplifter to everyone. But that'll knock the legs out from under them.
Well, it's not that I'm accused of it, but it's the teaching that I hear about, not that you can find greater peace by stepping out of these sort of resistant patterns, which I don't think is the same definition necessarily. There's just a lot of ways people talk about it, and I think it's find your alignment at all costs and go general.
It certainly is the easiest way.
Yeah.
That once you understand it, is truly the easiest path. Yeah. As Esther was listening to her seatmate on the airplane yesterday, and she heard valuable insight. He talked the entire flight. He was so happy to have someone interested in what he had to say. And so, as Esther was listening to him, she noticed a lot of powerful and, from her point of view, vibrationally accurate standpoints. In other words, there were many things that he said that she completely understands and agrees with and understands how he got there. But at the same time, she just wanted to say, you are so going about it the hard way. So going about it the hard way. Because the way he's going about it is by sorting out every possible relationship that every single person would have with every single other person, and then wrestling it to the ground and killing it before he finally gives up the battle and comes back to the awareness that what he wants matters. And Esther thought, we could have been way down that road an hour ago. But everyone has to find their own way. And accepting that the world is vibrational, that the universe is, that everything in it is too, and that you can feel where you stand in relationship to the vibration of your source in every moment. If you accept that you are an extension of source, do you? That must come first. Do you accept that you are an extension of source? And do you acknowledge that the source within you holds where you are in a stable place? Let's go here. This is an important new realization. So, you're in this body and you're mixing it up, and you know what you don't want and you know what you do want, and you're launching rockets of desires, and you are becoming. The whole of you is becoming constantly because of your focus here in this human form. So your inner being is expanding because of your willingness to participate in this life and to come to new decisions about what would be better. So the source within you takes that improvement constantly and holds it steadily and is it. So then eventually you croak and you join it completely. Now, here you are, unified, pure positive energy, making a decision to again come into physical form. As you come into physical form from this non-physical, aligned stance, hear those words, non-physical, aligned stance, pure positive energy, all-knowing. And what is it that you know? You know the value and the power of you. Oh, ego. You are so sure of who you are, and so exhilarated about taking you again into a physical experience where you can have more expansion. So feel that sureness. So then you mix it up, and sometimes you lose that sureness, and we call it all kinds of different negative emotional terms, but you lose sometimes momentarily that connection to knowing who you really are. But the source within you never stops renewing who you are. We liked your words so much. Can you say them again?
Re-manifesting each moment.
Yeah. Just continues to restate who you have become and hold that steady for you to line up with. So what's the point of that? And we really want you to hear this, because expansion is a given. It's just going to happen. You don't have to know any of this. You can mix it up and launch the rockets and never line up with it if you don't feel like it or if you don't figure out how. And still, your inner being has experienced expansion, and the universe has expanded, and all really is well in the universe, even if you've had a whole miserable lifetime. And when you have what you call your death experience, and you reunite with all of that knowing and all of that allowing, then you'll feel wonderful in totality as we feel wonderful. So the whole point of all of this conversation is you ought to be feeling wonderful every step along the way. You ought to be feeling wonderful when you step outside of your alignment. You ought to be feeling wonderful about your negative emotion, really is what we're saying. You ought to be happy that you are in an environment where you are experiencing expansion. You ought to be happy about step one experience. Step one means ask, which means contrast is causing that clarity of what you're asking for. The other day, Esther was sort of in the middle of a big step one experience and not liking how she was feeling, and then she remembered, oh wait, this is step one. Step one always comes before step two and step three. Why am I mad at myself that I'm having a step one experience? Why am I mad at myself? Why am I not allowing myself to be who I was born to be, someone who comes to new awarenesses of what I want? Do I want to stifle my growth? No, and good thing, because I can't stop it anyway. So this is what you were talking about at the beginning of your conversation. Isn't it a good thing to feel good even in the midst of negative emotion?